to you to kick off our panel discussion.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan. And it's Audacy. So we just rebranded our company from Entercom to Audacy. So people are still getting used to it. But welcome, everyone. Thank you for having us today. We have a great panel here in terms of leveraging MBA partnerships to build brand awareness and cultural relevance. So I want to turn it over to Matt to kick it off, just to talk a little bit about his role at State Farm, and then we'll go through Justin, Lawrence, and Amanda just to talk a little bit about their partnership with the MBA and what they'd like to share, and we can kick it off from there. So I'll turn it over to Matt to get us started.
Okay. Well, hey everybody, my name is Matt Coleman. I'm with State Farm Insurance, marketing director responsible for media sponsorships and digital marketing. So our relationship with the NBA actually goes back to 2013. And that's at a time where we were trying to focus on fewer, bigger, and better sponsorship opportunities. So in 2015, we actually became the official marketing partner of the NBA, WNBA, G League, and USA Basketball. So that was a really exciting milestone for us. In 2017, we actually added our stanchion signage, which has been a huge brand exposure opportunity for us. In 2018, we then signed an 18-year naming rights deal with the Atlanta Hawks for the State Farm Arena. And we've done some really cool things there that we're gonna, I think, spend some time talking to you about later on in the session. So, we've realized so many benefits of being a partner with the NBA, and I'm just excited to be here to be able to talk about some of them.
Great. Justin?
Yeah, hey everybody, Justin Toman, head of sports marketing at Pepsi. So psyched to be on this panel with everybody, some of the best in the business here. So happy to be part of it. So I run sports marketing at Pepsi, oversee everything that we do in sports, and I think I'm one of the luckiest people in the industry getting to work at the intersection of some pretty fun brands in Pepsi and Mountain Dew, and the intersection of some pretty big sports platforms and properties, much like the NBA. So been working with the league now we're our 6th season, which is crazy to think that it's been this long, although I guess in the scheme of things, it hasn't been all that long. So we're in our 6th season. I guess this coming October will be our 7th season. So we're really looking forward to that. But we've been in basketball at the NBA level with largely team partners for over 30 years. I think some of our longest team partnerships go back 25, 30 plus years. So we have a long history in the league, mostly at the team level, more recently at the league level. And then we have some great player deals. We've had many great player deals over the years. We've worked with some of the biggest names in the business. On our Gatorade side, obviously, Michael Jordan in the past. Shaquille O'Neal has been part of some of the things we've done over the recent history. And now I would say we have a great roster of athletes we work with both on the NBA and WNBA side. Some of the highlights are Asia Wilson, Zion Williamson, and obviously LeBron most recently earlier this year. So we have a long and deep relationship with all facets now at the league, team, and player level.
Great. Lawrence?
Yeah, hey everyone. Pleasure to be with you. Lawrence Montgomery. I lead our national advertising work at Kaiser Permanente, which is inclusive of our sports marketing work. We've had deals with various teams across the NBA, with the league itself the last 7 years. And then we've had multi-year deals with the Sacramento Kings, past Atlanta Hawks, Golden State Warriors for a number of years. It's been quite a just great partnership on many levels for our organization. Happy to get into some of those case studies with you all today. One tidbit, just remembering going back to our time working with Steph Curry when he was a rookie. And inviting him out to do cooking demonstrations in malls, and literally had to publicize and struggle to get people to attend. And now we can't even publish when he's visiting a hospital because the hospital will be overrun. So quite a different landscape.
That's great. Amanda?
Hi, everybody. My name is Amanda Lamb. I run marketing for our team sports division at Wilson, which is inclusive of basketball, football, soccer, and volley. I can say that our partnership so far is measured in days, not years. So I think we're official day 41 today. We became official with the league as a partner, the official ball out on the courts on July 1st. although we have been, I should point out, with the W all season. So really excited to be out on the court and joining all of you folks here on the panel. We were, little fun facts as well, we were the ball for the first 37 years, and we're coming back after 37 years. So 37 is definitely our magic number. So thanks for having me.
Congrats. That's awesome. As you guys think about your NBA partnerships, I think it would be helpful to hear from you guys just about, your strategic objectives with your partnership. Justin, obviously you guys are front and center in terms of being culturally relevant. You think about, what you guys do in the NFL, you think about what you're doing with Mountain Dew in the NBA. Talk to us a little bit about how you view your partnership with the NBA, specifically around Mountain Dew, and where you're going with it.
Yeah, sure. It's really simple, but yet hard to execute, I guess. And so we are relatively early on in this cycle, going into our 7th year. But really it boils down to two things. One, establishing awareness first and foremost. It's like marketing 101, really. Establishing awareness with the NBA fan of Mountain Dew and the fact that we are an official partner. And then while we're doing that, if you can do two things at once, it's trying to build that awareness in a really relevant, authentic way with the NBA fan. I think the NBA and the culture around basketball is like nothing else. It drives larger pop culture in a way that I think few other things do. And so we want to be respectful of that, yet be a part of it. And if we do it right at our best, hopefully we can even help create a little bit of it. So Mountain Dew is a $9 billion brand, but it's so funny if you look at a map of the brand development, we're really highly developed in the center of the country and very low development in the coast and many of the larger urban areas, Houston, Chicago, LA, New York City. So we know the NBA tends to over-index on the coast and in major cities. And so that's really what we're trying to match up with this gap in the new brand development with what is a strength on the NBA side. So we're trying to build that trial awareness first and foremost, and then trying to use things like our Mountain Dew 3-point contest, which is one of our really great scale national platforms that we have with the league deal, trying to use that to not only build that awareness, but do so in a really fun, engaging, relevant way with fans. I think we've done that decently over the past 2 years. A big credit to the league and Lauren Sullivan and her team at the league who really helped us do that and bring the 3-point in a really fun way. We think we try to innovate around the contest and make it even more exciting and engaging for fans to watch and be a part of.
Awesome. Matt, as you think about State Farm, obviously local communities are super important to you. Your 19,000 agents that you have all across the company. Talk to us how you think about that in terms of your MBA partnership and how you bring that to life.
Yeah, it's interesting because our objectives are very similar to what Justin just shared, right? So we're trying to drive unaided awareness as well as overall brand preference. And our relationship with the NBA helps us do both of those on a national level. So we're able to scale and amplify brand messages in contextually relevant environments. So if you think about some of the things that we do with the NBA and the draft, as a presenting sponsor for the draft, gives us a great opportunity to do that there. And then just as we have an opportunity to create custom content and meaningful integrations, those give us a chance to engage our target demographic in new and exciting ways. I think an example of that might be, some of the things we did with Bleacher Report and Game of Zones, because you have access to NBA IP, and it gives us an opportunity to do those types of things. So it's a little trickier at the local level. So we have 19,000 State Farm agents, and probably the best example that we have in terms of agents being able to leverage what we're doing nationally is with our relationship with the Hawks. And so there are a number of things that we do in partnership with the Hawks within their community. And so we have our local agents that have a chance to engage there. It's a little more difficult at the national level, given some of the limitations we have in terms of how we can leverage NBA IP. But that said, our agents are fully aware of the campaigns that we execute, very excited about the opportunities that we have with the NBA, our partnership with Chris Paul as well as other NBA talent and celebrities over time. So this is meant for a great opportunity for us, both at a national level and at a local level.
Awesome. obviously authenticity is super important to what you do and leveraging players locally as well as nationally. I know, Lawrence, for you guys, that's a focus. Why don't you talk a little bit about how you leverage that across the NBA?
Yeah, Jim, absolutely. And, just tagging on to Justin, Matt, it's the scale and relevance that really brings home what we try to do in our build preference with the NBA. We do a lot in community already. I think, last year we did something in the neighborhood of $3 billion philanthropic dollars nationally. But I can say the work that has the biggest spotlight on it is a lot of the work that we do with the NBA. It's just the difference between, hey, we can go into a school and educate about, any number of things, physical activity, nutrition, you name it. But when we do that in partnership with the NBA, the scale just goes up, right? The relevance goes up. You have news crews that come out. You got players involved. You just got a whole nother level of excitement, which is what brands are really looking for, right? And so that's really for us the difference in kind of what we do with the NBA and without. That drives our strategy. Like Matt just said a moment ago, we're about building preference, right? At the end of the day, we want customers to prefer Kaiser Permanente as their healthcare provider. And being able to identify stories, to build stories in an authentic, culturally relevant way is really, I think, what attracted us most to our NBA partnership. When you think about the intersection of sports and culture, probably more so than any league in the past decade plus, the NBA has its finger on that pulse. And so there's been a number of times when the NBA has been kind of a front runner on a cultural trend or other kind of insight that we've leveraged to better reach our audience, to more authentically reach our audience. And that's really what we look for, the ways that we can tell stories that makes sense for our brand, that makes sense for our mission as providing high quality healthcare.
Awesome. Amanda, on your end, obviously, there's nothing more important than the ball. I couldn't think of a more authentic ownership position for Wilson. You guys have been going through some changes in terms of focusing more from being a supplier to a consumer. You're partnering with the NBA on the first 100. Talk a little bit about how you're thinking about the partnership being so new to your sponsorship of the NBA.
Sure. So I think ours is a little different because we're actually out there on the court. You mentioned it as sort of the tool of the trade, if you will. So one really big important sort of lever for this partnership is that we get that play with the pros play message back. We have that on the football side, but we've been missing that for 37 years on the basketball side. So it helps us not only grow our basketball business, but really connect with young players. And that's really important from a credibility and authenticity sort of trigger. The second piece of it is, for the last few years, we, as a 100 plus year old brand, we've kind of set out on this mission to matter as much off the court as we matter on the court. And so you guys have, I think, all said it at this point now. The NBA plays in pop culture. It plays at the intersection of sports and culture. And for us, this was really just kind of the magic, I suppose, ingredient to really complete our basketball offering. So we're super excited about just the stories we'll be able to tell, the extra authenticity that it brings to us as a brand. And it just really kind of completes our entire basketball story.
Great. As you guys think about storytelling, obviously, it's so important to what all of you guys do through the lens of whether it be players, through the lens of local, national. Talk to me a little bit about how you guys think about storytelling across the NBA, through your activations and how you do it, frankly.
Is this a question for Wilson?
Yeah, in general, but yeah, you can take it.
Okay. I think for us, it's going to be about making sure that we bring the accessibility of the partnership we have at the pro level down into the player and the playing fan level. And so I'd say it started with the WNBA this spring and stepping out and making sure that we gave, we bet on women. And now as we move into October and our first tip off, it'll be about connecting those player stories with the stories that happen out on every court out there around the world. So for us, it's connecting those dots.
Matt, how about you guys with the draft and your Rising Stars initiative? Can you guys hear him?
Sorry, guys.
It's okay.
Having a rough time with the technology today. I know what's going on. No, so yeah, with the draft, it's, you mentioned earlier that we're a presenting sponsor with the draft, and with all this new talent that's coming in, this is talent that's being recognized at a very early age, right? So while maybe a casual fan is maybe new to some of the talent that's up and coming, maybe some of your more hardcore fans have an idea of who these kids are when they're 16 and 17 years old. So we know that we have a pretty varied audience that's watching that programming, and we want to make sure that as we are showing up in events like the draft and in other spaces, that we're doing so in an authentic way, in a way that really resonates with the with the viewers. And again, we know that those viewers range from those who are more casual to those who are maybe a little bit more engaged. But hopefully we're doing so in a way that, that grabs their attention, is entertaining, and helps with consideration down the line.
Great. Lawrence, you mentioned your relationship with Steph early on, and you're locking him in as a rookie. Do you guys think about that today in terms of identifying players, getting them before they become stars, and going along that journey?
Yeah, we're very careful with our spokesperson kind of engagements. Typically we do want to see someone that's had a little bit of longevity in the league, has developed kind of their brand themselves, and make sure that brand matches up with where we're trying to go. I'd say, we're loosening up on that a bit, but yeah, some of the best relationships that we have on the player side, and even the team side, I would say, happen, well before kind of the stardom moments. Everybody wants to partner with the team after they win the championship. But it's almost too late at that point, right? In a lot of ways, because there's so much that goes into the development of a relationship, of a partnership that needs to be built. And so, the best partnerships kind of are making, the best connections in the good and the bad times, whether it's, I think, players or teams.
Mm-hmm. Justin, on your end, obviously team relationships are important. You have your national footprint as well. Talk a little bit about how you think about that in terms of identifying players, how you activate around that, just across the board.
Yeah, no, it's we have a kind of internal slogan that's nationally great, locally even better. It just kind of goes to saying, hey, let's get the right things nationally. What are those fewer, bigger, better national platforms that you can really come in and own, and then populate them and activate them in really locally relevant and impactful ways. So if I look at something like what we have with the 3-point contest and Mountain Dew, we came in and as we talked about, the 3-point contest, and was that a viable platform for us? We really looked at it across a few different filters, and we kind of use this framework that we call ownership and influence. And basically, is this a thing that we can legitimately and have a right to come in and own? It's Mountain Dew, and can we own that in partnership with the league? And even more importantly, can we actually sit at the table with the league and have some influence over how it comes to life, over how it's activated? And the league has been a tremendous partner in doing both those things, and giving us the ability to truly own this Mountain Dew 3-point platform, but then also innovate and really influence how it comes to life. And I think you've seen that now over the last 2 years. Chicago was the first year we really did it, and then we did it, largely without fans in the arena, obviously in Atlanta. But this idea of, we literally changed the 3-point contest. It had never been done in the history of the 3-point contest. It was always around the arc. We came in last year for Chicago and worked with the league and said, hey, let's create these Mountain Dew shots, right? Let's make the green balls. And Amanda, really excited to work with you guys going forward to produce those and put them out in the world for fans. And I think we did so at the W just this past month in July earlier, which was great. So that's what I mean by influencing, having a seat at the table, truly getting your hands dirty in the kitchen with the partner. And I think that's when you get the best results for these truly national scale opportunities. And then we have what, 10, 12 teams at this point. And I think you find that teams and players are just a true passion point of fans, right? I think nobody would deny that. When you do something with LeBron, it immediately gets noticed. When you do something with Steph, to your point, Lawrence, or when you do something with Zion, it immediately gets noticed, and fans are so passionate about it. And you have to respect that, because I guess it can go both ways. Either they love it, or you hear about it if they don't. So I think that's the balance we try to find. We try to find those things that can give us true national scale and ownership and influence. And then what are the true passion points of the fans, and how do we lead into those as well, and local rivalries.
Got it. One thing you just highlighted that I think is important to talk about is just partnership, whether that be partnership with the league, working collaboratively, whether it be with the players, so it's authentic, that they're truly behind what they're endorsing or who they're working with, or other partners in terms of working with other corporate partners. And this is for everyone, but how do you guys think about that in terms of working with other partners across the league? I know you mentioned Justin and Amanda, you guys working together around the 3-point contest, but are there other partners that you work with across the league, and what does that look like? How do those conversations come about? But would love to hear just some of the learnings through some of those experiences.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say, I guess, really quick. I think, and hopefully we'll be doing like a case study on this, honestly, at the end of this coming season, Amanda. I would love, like, this to me is such a no-brainer, because it's like this great idea for Mountain Dew, and hopefully as you guys come into the fold, just what a tremendous opportunity to co-merchandise in retail environments, to get a lot of earned media out of it, maybe do some joint promotions out of it. So I think this one could be really big, and I'm really excited. And you'll be seeing an email in your inbox after this for sure from me. I know our team's been working a little bit together. I also say, I also just look to other partners in the league, and it's easier said than done to work sometimes with another partner. It seems like, oh, we should do it. We have a common partnership, but then it oftentimes there's just a bunch of red tape. But specifically, I look at Matt. I mean, I always tell my team, like, look at what State Farm is doing. They are so good. It's so consistent. They just maintain this message. They hit it a million different ways, and it's the same message, and they get to it in really creative, fun ways. Let's be more like that. So I find myself constantly looking across the range of other partners and saying, wow, I love that. I'm jealous that they're doing that. What's our way to do that? And that's one of the great examples of what these guys have done with Chris Paul and the other things.
Great. So there's a couple questions that have come in that I want to ask you guys. So Matt, your category has become increasingly visible in the NBA telecasts with 3 insurance companies, including State Farm, among the top 10 in-game commercials. How do you use your league level IP to stand above the others?
Yeah, I think for us, it starts with, certainly the relationship that we have with the NBA, and just the vast amount of benefits that being a league partner affords you. There are just certain things that you can't get otherwise, whether they're first look opportunities, naming rights, sponsorship opportunities, access to talent, whether it is actual basketball talent or studio talent. So we've benefited from that in a number of ways. We had an execution called The Neighborhood that we leveraged, which was something that we did in partnership with ESPN. So it was a media integration where we actually leveraged ESPN talent to show up within various spots and vignettes on ESPN in a way that leveraged their talent while being authentic to some of the messaging that we wanted to make sure that we had out in the marketplace. So, and those are just things that you wouldn't, those are opportunities we wouldn't have had if we didn't have the relationship that we do with the NBA. With State Farm Arena and what we're doing there are lots of great opportunities for us to support what they're doing with the Hawks. It's not just about our name being slapped on the side of the building. It's what are we doing to help support those communities, whether it's causes that matter to the Hawks or causes that matter to us or both. And we've been able to do some really cool things there in terms of supporting HBCUs, providing COVID relief and support within the State Farm Arena. So, doors really start to open when you have a relationship like this with the NBA. And we have other sporting relationships where we're not presenting sponsors, and you can tell the difference in terms of what you're able to have access to and to be able to leverage. And the encouraging thing for us is that we have partners in the NBA who are willing to try new things, right? And willing to push us to go in different places that we haven't before. And I think for both of us during COVID-19, we've had a chance to experiment quite a bit, and I think we both benefited from it.
Great. You've all highlighted to a certain degree your social influence. Obviously, cultural relevance is so important today. Giving back is so important to all of your different organizations. Talk to me a little bit about how you guys think about social influence in your organization and throughout your activation. I'll turn it to Amanda.
Sure. So I think last summer when we kind of inked the deal, what it did is allowed us to, the partnership with the league, I should say, to step back and think about who we wanted to be in the basketball space. You don't really get those inflection points, I think, where your entire category strategy is sort of thrown up in the air and you get to reshuffle the deck. So for us, that was one of the main reasons as we built our campaign out. We wanted to make sure that there was a social impact message that came through, especially as we were starting out in our first year. And so we landed on this campaign idea, which was all about inclusivity and family, and has really become the cornerstone of how not only we approach the WNBA, but we'll approach the other leagues under the portfolio. So I think it's, in some ways, we freely admit that we weren't the most woke brand in the last, say, 18 months, and we have awakened. The NBA just accelerated the progress we have made because it has kind of inspired us at every turn. And the league, I'll echo a couple other comments from some of the other guys. If you can think it and they're willing to partner and be innovative. And I think that's what's really benefited us from the start, particularly in this space.
Great. Lawrence, how about on your end as you guys think about social influence? You talked about it a little bit, you're doing your Thriving Schools initiative, but talk about your ability to activate in those communities in a positive way.
Yeah, what I appreciate about the partnership with the league is our ability to enhance what we already do. And so we have, a few big initiatives that we connect with league-wise. One is our Legacy project, and Matt and State Farm is a partner with us on, in the finals cities where we have the NBA finals. We go in, we select a location, whether it's the Boys and Girls Club, an after-school program, and we just kind of love on that location, right? Refurbish the gym, refurbish whatever they need, provide computers, technology, and it's a way that we can both be in that moment, right? The NBA is playing a game right there, and we can leave something there that's going to be around for the next couple of generations to come. And what we try to do at KP is try not to have those be a one-off, and the league supports us in that. And so connecting that type of initiative back up with what we're already doing, whether it's getting nutritionists in schools or some other program that we have, it just makes a whole lot of sense for our brand and our storytelling. And we also have something we call the Community Assist Award, which is another way for us to keep bringing our mission and our values up to the forefront when we think about this partnership, right? Every month during the season, an NBA player is awarded a Community Assist Award for doing great social impact work in their community, right? Whether it's the city they play basketball in right now or where they grew up. And we just love how the players take that seriously, how they go after that award, how they are truly dedicated to trying to make their communities better. And for us, it just couldn't be a better fit with our brand and the messages we're trying to put out there.
Great. Matt, how about on your end?
Yeah. So, as you think about, the events over the summer, social justice issues were certainly top of mind and continue to be, frankly. And State Farm has been very active in the African-American community over time, and we just haven't really done a good job of telling our story. So, Chris has this social justice fund that we've supported over time. And We were probably a little bit more visible in our support for that this year. We also partnered with Chris on a television spot called Voices, where it was kind of a vignette where Chris did a voiceover with a black and white footage, talking about leverage the platform you have regardless of your platform in order for your voice to be heard, and then you hear other people chiming in that are kind of sharing that same sentiment. And we actually aired that during games, and so that was one way that we leveraged our partnership with Chris Paul, the causes that we care about, in a way that allows us to kind of voice that in a way that we normally wouldn't have, and do that nationally. As I think about our social influence, probably more at a local level, probably the better example I have there is our partnership that we have with State Farm Arena and the Hawks. And so the Hawks established a community platform. It's called the Building Bridges Through Basketball. And that mission is to build safer and stronger communities for Atlanta's youth. So we joined them in their commitment to build 25 basketball courts in community centers within Metro Atlanta and the surrounding area. And so far, we've actually helped complete 4 of those renovations. So we're excited about the progress that we're making there. But in addition to that, the Atlanta Hawks do some really great things, even outside of basketball. So they help with meal drives. So they had a million meal pack that we've been a part of. And I mentioned earlier that they were very active in terms of supporting vaccinations for COVID-19. So it was an actual vaccination center for a time, and we partnered with them on that. So we've had a variety of ways, both nationally and locally, that we've been able to partner with the NBA and its affiliates to help provide support for the causes that they care about and those that are also true to our brand values.
Great. Justin, how about you guys, and how do you guys think about it in terms of supporting some of your athletes that you work with?
Yeah, it's I think for us, we think about it in 2 different ways, but they're similar but different. One is community, the social justice element, what we'll call it kind of community activation 2.0, because I do think that whole area of partnership has dramatically changed, and the expectation of fans for brands to be active in the right way there, I think, has really changed. So community, and then the other part for us, just the nature of our business and our product, is sustainability. When we think about things like water use and plastic and recycling and zero waste. So those are 2 really important macro issues. And I think, again, I think fans, it's mandatory in most fans' minds now that any brand doing something in sports is doing those 2 elements as part of their partnerships. One thing comes to mind with our partnership with LeBron, which just started earlier this year. One of the really big important pieces of it, and I think one of the things that really got him excited about the partnership with us was how much we're leaning into his whole ecosystem, not the least of which into things like the I Promise school. So we're committing a pretty big amount of resources in terms of healthy snacks and beverages, food, things like internships for the school out there. And so we were actually supposed to go out there this month, but due to some more travel restrictions that we've had internally, we're going to postpone that a little bit. But part of it was just to see that school and to see how we can help and kind of help him deliver on that mission that he has and has built. And I think on the sustainability piece, with our arenas, we have this at one arena right now. We're hopeful to roll it out, over the next few years, which is what is the path to zero waste in all of our stadium deals, right, or all of our arena deals, or what's the path to zero single-use plastics, right? That's the goal, and eventually, I think all of our probably 70 or 80 stadium and arena partnerships throughout all sports hopefully will be there, and we're trying to find the right test cases to get there. What's that 3 or 4 year journey? Because you can't just snap your finger and the business changes overnight, but we know that's where we need to be. So it's definitely an imperative part of every new deal that we do, both the community and the sustainability piece. And I think there's a lot of eyeballs to make sure we get it right.
Yeah, and one of the things you just mentioned in terms of COVID, obviously that's affected all of us in a major way over the last year. How has it changed your outlook? I'll kick it to Lawrence in terms of how you activate.
Yeah, and I'll just tell a quick story. So Justin talked earlier about Chicago All-Star 2020. And I remember being there and having a few interactions with the NBA and TikTok. And I had, to this point, had heard about it, but I hadn't downloaded, I hadn't brought in. And I think it was at the Tech Summit, and while folks were up on stage, I finally downloaded the app. And then I had a few more interactions. I got to meet people throughout the weekend. And I was like, oh, wow. I mean, the engagement on this thing is incredible. But it was one of those just examples of the NBA being on just a leader on integrating this. I was skeptical, what the heck does TikTok have to do with basketball and these influencers that you guys have here? Fast forward a month later, we're all in lockdown pandemic, and my leadership is saying, Lawrence, how do we reach a younger audience? We got to reach these young people, tell them to wear their masks, stop partying, all this good stuff. And I instantly just thought of TikTok and the NBA, and drew up a partnership within weeks. I mean, literally it was 10 days, and we had a program, a campaign up and running. Addison Rae, who is now, gone on to be, I think, one of the biggest on TikTok, wasn't quite there at the time, but was still a big draw. I mean, it was over 1 million hits a moment that we were getting while we had a campaign up and running. And for a weekend, for a 3-day weekend, we were the trending brand on TikTok. Our message about how to stop the spread of COVID-19. Not only did we have these millions of views, we had almost 1 million people produce videos that had our hashtag about how we're owning the curve and trying to stop the COVID-19. So that's just an example of, I think, the intersection of the NBA and culture, and how you don't always think, oh, okay, it's basketball. No, it's also culture that's leading the way here. So,
And as you guys are thinking about next season and where that's going, do you have a plan and a B plan and a C plan, just because of all the uncertainty around it?
Yeah, the good thing is, yes, and we all kind of know how to operate now in COVID times, right? When this first hit, we were like, whoa, what do we do? But now, yeah, we actually have our activation plans, and we have our fallbacks, right? We got our best case scenarios and things that we'll make adjustments on. Now, the great part about the league right now is their ability to anticipate, and our account team being able to work with us, make adjustments where necessary, and everyone having the same goal in mind, right? We still want to reach our audiences. We still want to make an impact. We still want to be relevant. And so, if we have to adjust one of our assets to this over here, we kind of know how to do that and still align it up with our mission.
Yeah. Amanda, how do you think about that as a new partner going into the season?
Yeah, so we're kind of planning for the best case scenario just overall, because we know we'll eventually get there, though we're dying to get out there and activate. So just like Lawrence, we've got a plan B as well. But for us, I think it's just getting out as much as you can in front of the consumer to deliver that message. I had the opportunity to go to the WNBA All-Star game and to just see sort of that Mountain Dew ball, kind of out there on the court. Like, you see your product for the first time, and I think consumers feel the same way. It just leaves a lasting impact. So I think it's a lot of plan B planning, and also just planning for the best case scenario, because we're all going to get back out there eventually. And so that's how we're kind of thinking about things right now, just because everything for us is new. And so I might as well build it this year and use it in 2022 or 2023. So yeah, I guess that's been our approach as we sort of wade through the waters.
Great. Justin, one thing I think about with the Pepsi brand is how opportunistic you guys are. And so in terms of planning, I know we've talked a little bit about how you guys are thinking about serving Pepsi products in arenas differently, but also how do you balance that with, being able to pivot and capitalize off of those cultural moments that are happening in real time?
Yeah, it's definitely, we're evaluating all of those super tactical things that just, we have this 3 kind of pronged strategy, if you will, this idea of anchoring ourselves and our brands in the arena and doing what we need to do to sell our product and make sure consumers and fans have a great brand experience, activating the marketplace, which for us is, retail in any individual market, and then how do we amplify those activations and not just reach, again, 20,000 in the arena, maybe not just 200,000 in the market, but truly 2 million, 20 million, 200 million, whatever it might be, out in the viral world. So we were looking at it through those three lenses, and we're trying to say, okay, how do we anchor ourselves, and what are the new fan habits? Is everybody going to be ordering from their seat? Do you want a fountain drink that has an open top, or do you want a bottle and can, which you can open and close, more safely? So there are really tactical, operational things we're working through with each of our team partners. And then in the kind of, making sure that we're keeping an eye on that third, kind of lens of the amplify, which is really using media, technology, content to tell those stories. To Lawrence's point, find the right stories to tell and be a part of it. And kind of having your finger on the pulse, like what are those really culturally relevant things that are going on, and how can your brand be a part of that, or even, I guess when you do it best, create something. I mean, if I think way back to what we did with Kyrie Irving, it was the Uncle Drew stuff, and we just literally created that character with him, and it became culturally relevant. It started as a viral video, became a 30-second spot. Actually, we ended up creating a movie with him and Shaq and a whole host of A-list celebs. So I think when you're at your best, you can actually create that culture. More often, it's finding those right cultural moments. Like we don't have a partnership with him, with Steph Curry. When he won the Mountain Dew 3-point contest, and he's sitting there holding our ball, talking to the reporter afterward. You couldn't have asked for a better platform to have the green ball and Mountain Dew front and center in that story. So we try to keep an open mind and really have the kind of strategic process in place to jump on those moments when they happen.
Mm-hmm. Matt, I know we talked about fan engagement. Talk to me a little bit about your view on fan engagement in this COVID world and going forward.
Yeah, well, the first thing I want to do is get Lawrence's playbook for how he got TikTok on board in 10 days. I need that playbook ASAP. No, I think it's what everyone just shared, right? It's how do you leverage some of those digital capabilities in order to engage your consumer where they are, right? It's Gen Z, millennials, Hispanic, African American. You have the LGBTQ element that's there now, and you're wanting to make sure that you're reaching those consumers in meaningful ways. It can be at times difficult to do that within your own platform, right? Does anybody really want to come to statefarm.com or to State Farm's Instagram page to interact with us? Or are they going to be more apt to interact with us on the NBA's Instagram page or the NBA's TikTok page, right? So for us, we, due to COVID, we had to make some adjustments during the playoffs and the finals this year, where we didn't, we still had on-court presence, right? So we still had our stanchions and we had on the court and signing throughout, right? And which is all great, and we want to make sure that we continue that. But we didn't really have a way to engage fans in person, right? So we had our challenges there. So what we wanted to make sure that we did was, leverage some of those digital properties in order for us to interact with customers a little bit differently. And we actually did a TikTok takeover of the NBA's TikTok page and did that in partnership with them. We also did some video placements with our partners over at ESPN using NBA IP. We also leveraged through United Masters talent there in order to come up with lyrics and like custom lyrics and custom tracks to really highlight what we're doing with our Surprisingly Great Rates campaign, because that's still something that we're trying to promote. So I think more than anything, it's just making sure that you understand who your audience is, where your audience is, and the best way to engage with them, knowing that some of those face-to-face and physical interactions are just going to be tough when it comes to COVID.
Yeah. So in the last couple minutes, would love to hear from you guys. Obviously, the NBA right now has a ton of momentum, recognizable stars, growing team valuations, a great international following, relevance culturally. Where do you guys see the biggest opportunity as you go into the 21-22 season for your brands. Amanda, I know you're a new partner, but would love to hear your thoughts, and then we'll kick it around.
Sure. I think for us, it's probably unlocking a global business. So we were primarily pretty US, North American centric. And so what the NBA essentially does is unlock the rest of the world for us at scale. And so if we're doing this right, which adds a little bit of pressure, right? You build out the right marketing capabilities in those markets to step up and kind of, I suppose, take a hold of that opportunity. So for us, it's global growth. And it's also just, I think we said at Marketing 101, we've got to get the awareness numbers up that we've come in and taken over this partnership. We have to be creative and disruptive in how we do that. So a lot of, I think, really fun marketing sort of executions ahead of us in order to make that happen and make that happen on a global stage as well.
Great. Lawrence?
Yeah, so, as all of my peers have said, I mean, the NBA has the scale, but that doesn't mean the marketing's automatic, right? And so there's still a lot of work that has to be done to make sure that you are matching up and aligning right at that intersection of your brand and what the NBA brand has to offer. And so that's really where we earn our way, if you will, and where my team is focused right now on how do we dial up that authenticity, right? We don't just want to slap the NBA IP on our marketing stuff. We want to tell those stories that really make sense to the consumer, and they're like, aha, I see how Kaiser Permanente is helping this thing that I love so much come to life. And the NBA couldn't have done it, without Kaiser Permanente. So that's where our future lies. And I think as the NBA brings on more partners, great. It'll be even more incumbent on those partners to make sure that they're aligned with their own brands.
Good. Matt?
Yeah, I think for me, I'm just really excited to see all the new partners that are coming on. And Amanda, congratulations to you and Wilson for being on board. I think that's really cool for you guys. We talked about the intersection of sports and culture, right? And so you think about sports, music, fashion, gaming, just all of those things the NBA is right in the middle of all those things. So I know for me, I'd like to see State Farm just explore more opportunities to collaborate with like-minded partners to kind of realize synergies between our brands. I think the example that Justin and Amanda shared with the Mountain Dew basketball was a really good example of that. We've done some of that. I think we have, with just a variety of new partners that have come on here recently, an opportunity to do more of that. And I'm just going to put this out there. I would love to see Jake in a pair of Louis Vuitton khakis, if we can make that happen.
Love it. Justin, close us out.
That's awesome. I love that as well. And it spurred me thinking, like, one of the things that I candidly don't have in my deal, but now I wish I did, is deals going forward, which is, everybody has different various funds, the media fund, an activation fund, or whatever, player fund. We should have a fund in each of our deals that is, goes toward working with another partner. I think that would be a great idea. And I would be absolutely using that money with you guys right now, man. I know we're going to be working together, but a ton of momentum behind the league. Like you said, I think it is, the NBA and basketball influences greater pop culture like not much else does. So it's a tremendous place to be. And as a marketer, it's just a fun place to be marketing from. I think two things for us is I'm really excited to really build out and hopefully better establish this ownership and elevate the 3-point contest. We just think there's so much runway there to have a lot of fun with it. We've only just really scratched the surface with what we've done to date. And so I think we want to get a few more years of consistency and really elevating that to see where it can go. And the other one, which I'll talk about a little bit, is data. I mean, the NBA has such great data capabilities and resources, and we've really tapped into that with our most recent contract with them. I mean, the data piece of our contract actually takes up a significant portion of the number of pages in the contract. And it's all about how can we work together and do the right, conduct the right data initiatives. And get a big data fund as part of it. And this money is going to go toward building and executing these data initiatives. And from that, we hope to, get a much better understanding of who the NBA fans are, who are the fans that are going to be, wanting to hear from us and better target and segment them and then serve them up more relevant, personalized messaging. So there's a huge work stream going on with the league about better leveraging your data and making sure we're using it to be more efficient and find value for our brands.
Great. Well, thank you guys for your time. I wish you guys the best of luck and look forward to staying in touch.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Thank
Thanks,
you, guys.
everybody.
Jim,
Thanks,
thank you.
Jim.
Thanks all.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, everyone, for that amazing conversation. It's crazy how fast our day just continues to just roll through. Jimmy did a terrific job moderating. Matthew, Justin, Lawrence, Sarah, thank you all for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Awesome. Well, we're cooking. We're moving ahead right now. We are red hot. We are rolling, and we've got